Thank you, boys. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. My name is Wayne White. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wayne White, and what can I tell you? I make pictures, like this one. It's called Picasso's Ass Falling Off. I've been many things, ladies and gentlemen. A painter, a cartoonist, an illustrator, an animator, a set designer, an art director, and now I, believe it or not, I'm a fine art painter in the world of fine arts. Here's one I recently did called Beauty is Embarrassing. It's the name of the movie. Now, what do I mean by that? Beauty is embarrassing. What do I mean by that, Dennis and Bobby? They don't know. Tell you what, stick around and I'll tell you a little bit later what I mean by beauty is embarrassing. Now, a lot of you may be sitting there going, there's some folks here tonight who don't believe a word you're saying. It's all true. You may be saying, oh, come on, Wayne. Oh, come on. I ain't lying to you. I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee on September 17th, 1957. My daddy worked at Chattanooga DuPont Nylon Factory. I grew up thinking that an artist was somebody who, I didn't even know what an artist was. I grew up in a culture of farm boy factory workers, and my mama was the first artist I ever met because she decorated the house every 2 months. My first idea of being a cartoonist, artist was a cartoonist. And of course, I played sports, Dixie Youth baseball especially. Now, you may think I'm getting a little too big for my britches up here bragging. In fact, you might say my exudant lacks effluvium. I.e., my shit don't stink. I'm here to tell you, boy, I'm a country boy, and it does. Have you ever been to an outhouse? But anyway, love hurts, ladies and gentlemen. It truly does. Love hurts, especially when you love art and you're stuck in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you're a frustrated 17-year-old that's just been arrested for stealing a mailbox. That's a federal offense, ladies and gentlemen. What do you do when you're 17 years old, stuck in Chattanooga, Tennessee? What do you do, Dennis and Bobby? What I did, I left Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1975, and I enrolled at Middle Tennessee State University, where I majored in painting. I thought painting would give me the respect I so richly deserve, as this painting says. Maybe now I'll get the respect I so richly deserve. Well, I graduated in 1979 with a BFA in abstract expressionism. Now, and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Now, in 1979 in Nashville, Tennessee, there wasn't a lot of job openings for abstract expressionists. So I decided maybe I should go back to my first love of being a cartoonist. One day I wandered into a comic book store in Nashville, Tennessee called The Great Escape, and I saw this amazing comic book called Raw Magazine put out by Art Spiegelman. And I thought, by the time I was to the last page, I thought, man, this is a world I gotta get in on. This is like abstract expressionistic comic book, the world's first. Sure enough, I fired up my light green 1970 Ford Maverick. I drove up to Manhattan, parked it on 23rd Street, and I began to stalk Art Spiegelman. I went into the School of Visual Arts, stuck up my hand and said, Art Spiegelman, my name's Wayne White and I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I want to draw comics. He tried to avoid me, but I had his hand. He couldn't get away. We had a cup of coffee and he invited me to sit on it in his class, and lo and behold, I moved up to Manhattan in 1981. I sat in on Art Spiegelman's comic book class, and he invited me over to his studio where I got to see him in the process of drawing the world-famous Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel Mouse. That's where my education really began, ladies and gentlemen, in New York City. I always say to students and art students and young people coming up, get out of your cultural zone, get out of your comfort zone, go to another place, go far away. I think it's one of the best advices I can give to an artist. It was one of the best things I ever did. My education began in New York City. Now, a lot of people called me the Alabama Mofo, ladies and gentlemen. And that inspires me to do a little song called Alabama Mofo. A peppy little number. What do you say, boys?
Let's do it. Yeah, okay. Wayne? Oh, wait a second. Wait. I gotta get my starter kit going.
Get your bluegrass button on there.
Okay, here it comes. A little something like this. Woo!
We are the first psychedelic bluegrass band, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, I was up in New York City working as an illustrator and a cartoonist, and that's where I met my beautiful, talented wife, Mimi Pine. A lot of you may have heard of her. She's a great American cartoonist. She created the Valley Girl's Guide to Life. She wrote many valuable humor books, and she wrote the first episode of The Simpsons. Well, we had it going on up in there in New York, and I thought I was going to be a cartoonist and an illustrator for the rest of my days. I got rid of my NASCAR tit shirt, and I became a real Manhattanite. Now, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, I do a painting. I'll pour some paint and let it dry, and then I'll tell you what it looks like. That looks like some fried chicken. Fried chicken is what I'm licking. Pour the paint on and let it dry. You'll know what it looks like by and by. Fried chicken. Fried chicken.
Right on, fried chicken.
Thank you. That's one of my wonderful, wonderful painting techniques that I invented, ladies and gentlemen. And you're sure? And you're welcome to steal it. Just try it sometime. Pour some paint, let it puddle, let it dry, let your imagination run wild. You know, this is one of my comments on fine art. One of my missions in life is to bring humor into fine art. Now, I'm not talking about art world funny or coy, cute funny. I'm talking about real world funny. I'm talking about Richard Pryor funny. I'm talking about slipping on a banana peel and busting your ass funny. I'm here to poke pins into the pretensions of the fine art world. I'm here to bring humor to it because legitimately and realistically and honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think humor is the most sacred thing we have as human beings. I think it's very deep. A lot of people don't, but I think humor is a very, very deep thing. And I think laughter is a very deep thing. And I like to carry that on. And I think when most people look at abstract paintings, they're looking for shapes that they can identify with. And I just like to come right out and say it. I like to say what's on everybody's mind. I like to point out the banal and the stupid and the not so glorious and the not so serious. I mean, how many times have you got looking at an abstract painting and you get bored and you start going, hey, that looks like Homer Simpson's head, or that looks like a dog foot. That looks like Brazil. That looks like the state of Michigan. See, there's the mitt. Here's something I absolutely majored in the 70s at the MTSU, failed abstract paintings of the 70s. And here's my little comment on art history. Another thing I learned up at Middle Tennessee. Marcel Duchamp is a big French fag. It's all in good fun. I love Marcel Duchamp. I love fine art. I love high art, and I love low art. A lot of people think, well, Wayne, you're just an ignorant hillbilly, and you're just trying to impose your sense of humor because you don't know about culture. I love culture. I am a hillbilly from Hickson, Tennessee, who reads Wallace Stevens, by God. I mean, come on. Give me some credit, Bobby. I'm here to break down those walls, ladies and gentlemen. There's no reason why there should be walls between high and low, between people who like to laugh and have a good time, the low, and people who like to suffer and feel superior about it, the high. Come on, let's let our hair down. Let's be human beings, and let's let our art reflect that instead of like some kind of hermetic playbook that you got to know before you could even are allowed to enter the museum and are allowed into the sacred temple of art. I've been to the sacred temple of art. I've worshiped there. But I also like to go to the honky-tonk of art and dance and have a good time. Some people say I'm not all there. And I say, where? Where's there? Where's there, Dennis?
Right over there, Wayne. Right over there.
It saddens me sometimes to see all these snobs going around thinking they own art. Everybody owns art. It belongs to everybody. And it can be intelligent. It doesn't have to cater. It doesn't have to be Thomas Kincaid bullshit. There's a new world, and I'm there to make it. I want a new world. I want a new world where all my children can understand art, where they don't have to be pandered to look down on it. I want something that everybody can dig. And if they can get a laugh out of it, that is fantastic. Laughing is a good thing. Numb nuts. Now, how did I get to these word paintings doing this kind of mess? Well, I'll tell you how. But first, I'm going to give you a little story about Pee-wee's Playhouse. I was doing puppets way back in Tennessee in the late 70s. I was inspired by Andy Kaufman mostly. I was an anti-puppeteer. I didn't like the Muppets. I wasn't charmed by puppeteering and marionettes and all that. I approached puppets through sort of like a performance art kind of thing. I know that's pretentious. But I came through puppets through art. In that sense, I wanted to deconstruct puppets, just like Andy Kaufman was deconstructing kiddie culture with his Mighty Mouse songs and his little acts on stage. I wanted to do the same thing with puppetry. And this was about 1977, and punk rock had just started. I wanted to do, well, for puppets, what punk rock was doing for music, but I couldn't play guitar, so I picked up a puppet. And I kept doing those crazy-ass puppet shows at drunken keg parties, out on the street, in galleries, wherever people would have me. And I carried that puppet show up with me to New York City while I was pursuing my money-making career as being an illustrator and a cartoonist. And then one day, my friend back in Nashville, she called me up and said, hey, they need a kiddie show down here. Local kiddie show on the local Nashville station, WDCN Channel 8. It's for first graders to teach them how to do music. So I went down to Nashville. I did this show called Mrs. Kabobble's Caboose. And I took my Mrs. Kabobble's Caboose portfolio with me back up to New York City. I took my Mrs. Kabobble's Caboose portfolio to a building called Broadcast Arts on Lower Broadway, and I showed them that. They looked at my whimsical designs, my puppets, and they gave me a job on the greatest show in the history of the universe. Hit it again, please, Dennis. Pee-wee's Playhouse, ladies and gentlemen.
At Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, that was the big turning point for me. That's one of the reasons I'm sitting here right now playing this thing. Pee-wee's Playhouse, 1986. Suddenly, this crazy-ass thing I was doing, these puppet shows, everybody said, Wayne, you're crazy. Quit wasting your time with that silly shit. Find a job. Do something. Do something except playing with your hair all the time. That puppet show ain't gonna get you nowhere. And the silliest, goofiest thing I had ever done in my life, those puppet shows, the thing that everybody thought I was insane, led to a career-changing, money-making, world-changing job on Pee-wee's Playhouse. If there's any students out there or anybody who's just started art or anybody who wants to be an artist or anybody who's trying real hard right now in the studio, never, ever discount any of the silly-ass, goofy stuff that goes on in your studio. If you like it, then it's real. And if you like it, you're gonna follow that goofy, silly-ass shit no matter what your parents or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend say. You're gonna follow that goofy shit because you love it. And I followed my goofy shit right into one of the world's greatest television shows. So that's my advice. Follow your goofy-ass heart, because that's where it's at. Bam, overnight. cartoonist, illustrator, turned puppet maker, and scenic designer. I was put in charge of the puppets on Pee Wee's Playhouse, and lo and behold, I became a performer. Yeah, that's me, Randy. Hey, boys and girls, smoking's cool. I was Dirty Dog. Hey, Pee Wee, what do you say? We are smoking weed nearly every day. I was Flower number 3. Presenting His Royal Majesty, the King of Cartoons. I was Roger the Monster. Hey, Pee-wee, do you like spaghetti? I was Mr. Kite. Rain, Pee-wee, rain. And last but not least, magic glasses. Put me on, Pee-wee, put me on. Sure enough, I was in show business. 1986 to 1989, I worked on Pee Wee's Playhouse. Made more money than I ever made in my life. Got into the Screen Actors Guild. Swimming pools, movie stars. Moved to Hollywood, California. They didn't call me Numbnuts no more. They called me Boss Man. And of course, Pee Wee got a little out of hand, and Showbiz got a little out of hand, and they started calling me Pillbilly. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, all that shit about Hollywood, it's absolutely true. It's a snake pit. It's a suicide trap. It'll rip the bones off of your back. I worked myself into a series of nervous breakdowns. Did many kid shows. Shining Time Station with Ringo Starr. Beekman's World with Paul Zaloon. I did the wonderful video that you saw a clip of earlier, Smashing Pumpkins, Tonight Tonight. I worked for one of the nicest men in rock and roll, Peter Gabriel. I did a little video called Big Time. I don't care how many swimming pools and movie stars there are, ladies and gentlemen, it's a horrible, horrible business. And yes, I did get horribly burnt out. Had to go on the happy pills. I thought my life as an artist was over. Had to take a long break and decided I was going to do a 180 from all this cartoon, expressionistic, kiddie show stuff. And so I was going to start painting history paintings. History paintings about my beloved Tennessee, South, and the greater United States. I started doing realistic history paintings. I had to teach myself old 19th century oil painting techniques. And I started doing the Battle of Lookout Mountain, the Battle of Shiloh, the Battle of Antietam, Revolutionary War battles, George Washington's dream, DeSoto in Alabama, steamboat coming down the old Tennessee.
Battles around Tennessee River, battles around Confederate. Wayne was painting them paintings about the history. First shell that was shot in the Civil War landed on a place called
thrift store paintings just for the frames. I'd bring them in, and I'd kick out the old picture, and I'd put in my pretty new history painting that I was so dang proud of. And then one day I brought home a thrift store painting, and I decided, you know what? I've got a desire. I've got a burning desire, Dennis, to put some big-ass words in that painting. And you know why? Because I grew up around the Rock City barns of the beautiful South and the Midwest. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those on your travels. Big-ass barns with big-ass white letters on them. That was my initial inspiration for my word paintings. A lot of people say, Wayne, you're just an Ed Ruscha ripoff. And I say, fuck you. Ain't you ever heard of the Rock City barns? Rock City barn, that was my first inspiration. Brought that thrift store painting home. I said, okay, I'm gonna paint me up a beautiful landscape. And right before I kicked out the cheap litho landscape reproduction in the frame, I said, now wait a minute. What about if I just painted on the landscape that's already in the frame? Save a lot of time. So sure enough, that's how my first word painting was born. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a moment's goof off in the studio, a spontaneous gesture, a simple joke, something I thought was not even worthy of art, became a series of paintings that I'm best known for today, and a series that I'm still investigating and finding new things to find out about 12 years later. Again, if you're a student, somebody just trying to make art, having trouble in the studio, do whatever you want. Come up with the goofiest, jokiest, dumbest thing you can think of that you think nobody is ever going to pay any attention to or ever have any serious respect for. I believe in the moment. I believe in spontaneity. I believe in being goofy. I believe in letting down all your academic defenses that all those teachers have bullied you into acting like over the years. I believe in play. I believe in acting like a kid. And not in a corny way, in that inner child shit. I mean really playing. I mean really playing. It's our challenge as an adult to do that. That's one of my other messages. Come on, man, let's play. Come on. Time's running out. We're gonna be dead forever. And we never have played? You gotta play. You're being cheated if you don't. And when you play, you know how that feels? You know how that feels? Fan-fucking-tastic. Everybody, let's hear it. Fan-fucking-tastic. I love you. I love you, Detroit, Michigan. Last night I went to sleep in Detroit City. Then I woke up. Thank you. Sometimes when I go back down south, I got a big head. And I go back down there and I grab the first punk off the street, and you know what I say to him? Run down the road to your mama's house and tell her I'm back. And if he doesn't hear me the first time, I just run down the road to his mama's house and I tell her I'm back. Sexy paintings by sexy painters for sexy people. Some people don't think the banjo's sexy. I love the banjo. This painting is also a very good representation of the fact that everything you do as an artist never leaves you. It's always there. And this is a painting is a perfect example of stuff that never leaves me. I can look at this painting and I can see every kiddie show set I ever did. I can see every cartoon I ever drew. I can think of every magical roadside attraction I ever saw as a kid. It's all there. That's another thing I firmly believe in as an artist. Everything you do as an artist stays with you. It informs your work. It comes through you. It's like sweat out of your pores. You can't get rid of it. now, ladies and gentlemen, let's have another little interlude. I got tired of doing my paintings all the time, and I thought, you know, three-dimensional work and sculptures and puppets are just as important to me as paintings. And in August of 2009, I got a chance to prove that once more. I was invited by Rice University in Houston, Texas, to come down and do an installation at their gallery. And here's a little look at the creation of this thing that I will explain at the end. Detroit, Michigan, the world's largest George Jones head. 26 feet long, plywood, beaded styrofoam, baling tubes, sheetrock mud, acrylic paint. You pull the rope and his mouth opens and a snore comes out. You pull the rope and his mouth opens and a whiskey breath comes out. The great country music legend sleeps it off in the hot Houston night, while the fan protruding from his neck says, dreaming, 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 dreaming. You look through a hole in the back of his head and there's a peep show inside. It's a peep show of George Jones as a little tiny marionette dancing in a honky-tonk from hell, while outside the window the sun rises, the sun sets, the moon rises, and all around him the giant letters on the wall, my beloved giant letters, says big, electric, fan, to keep me cool while I sleep. Dreaming. I'm dreaming. Dreaming. Shit, I'm bragging. And if you don't believe me, I'll smash this painting over your fucking head. That's all in good fun. I love you all. I would never do that. That thing's worth $20,000. Biggins. Biggins, Dennis. Everybody likes Biggins. Ladies like Biggins. Gentlemen like Biggins. Just go ahead and admit it. We all like Biggins. When I can't have my Biggins, you know what I do? Boo fucking who. Boo fucking who. I mean, but it is, and I am, so they won't. It is, and I am, so they won't. So many times in life we come across our limitations, but it is, and you are, and they won't. We're alive, we're living now, but one day we're going to be dead forever. We are. The universe is, but it won't. It won't let us live. It wants us to pass on through. That's what I often feel like with my artwork, ladies and gentlemen. Even though I like to get up here and show off and be the center of attention and hear applause and laughter, I honestly do feel like I'm just a conduit. I'm just passing on this energy. Just like we're all just passing on the energy and hoping that the world will continue after we're gone. Of course, we're all involved in an earthly clusterfuck, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way to get around it. And you know what? You can cry bitter tears, or you can laugh a knowing laugh. Let's try to laugh knowing laughs at it. Let's try to laugh at it. Let's not try to let it get us down. And I hope that's what my work does. I hope that's what my art does and my sense of humor does. It helps us laugh at this clusterfuck we're all fucked up with. Let's laugh at it. I think laughing will open up our mind. It'll make the world a better place. It'll bring us all together. Of course, you know, I'm not always sweetness and light. Here's a little black-hearted look at relationships. Date, mate, sate, great. You know, women hate this painting. I bring it out and they're like, oh, no. Why do you want to say that, Wayne? That's why it never sold. You know who's the boss in this world, don't you? Women. If you don't believe that, ask my wife. Date, mate, sate, great. Here's a little tribute to all those years in Hollywood. All that fake laughing for nothing. How many times have I sat in a meeting with a producer and he's like, it's gonna be just like Pee-wee. It's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna have some little kids come in. We're gonna have a talking dog, talking chair, talking picture, talking microphone, talking Moog synthesizer, talking drum set. It's gonna be a beautiful colored set. It's gonna be hilarious. And I'm sitting there going, oh, you're gonna pay me, right? All that fake laughing for nothing. Here's another tribute to my years in Hollywood. Dick jokes from Sherman Oaks. Quick explanation, of Sherman Oaks is a suburb of Los Angeles where a lot of comedy writers live. And let's face it, turn on the TV and it's nothing but dick jokes. A couple of boob jokes thrown in. I couldn't take that stuff anymore, you know. I had to get out of the Hollywood rat race. I'm so glad I found this art, my painting, and I don't have to write dick jokes anymore. Well, I do, but you know. Here's another little brag I like to pull out of my hat when I'm feeling especially vulgar and antisocial. Enough hair on my ass to weave a Navajo blanket. No brag, just fact. Boys, let's give them one more little song before we hit the last lap here. Let's do our pretty little raga song. You ready? Thank you for that warm applause, and I would just like to say, fuck you. Thank you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's funny. This is a painting called Fuck You Invasion. Isn't that what war is? Isn't war the biggest fuck you in the world? Don't you wish you had an armada like this to land on the shore of one of your greatest enemies? The number one message of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good-looking people having fun without you. Yeah. Pick up any magazine, go to any website, turn on any television set, look at any movie, and that's the one message that is hammered home to you over and over and over again. Hey, look at the party you missed. Hey, look at this girl you don't have. Look at this guy you don't have. Look at this great vacation you're not on. Good-looking people having fun without you. What are you going to do about it? I'm so glad I could sum up our media situation in one pithy sentence. Next time you're feeling insecure when you're looking at a magazine or looking at a television show or a commercial and you're feeling lesser or feeling diminished, just remember, it's just good-looking people having fun without me, and it's a crock of shit. Smash down the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's our duty as human beings to fight against the media. They do not like you. They do not like you. They do not like you. I like you, though.
Wayne loves y'all.
I love you. In fact, I want you to join me for heinies and shooters with hotties at Hooters. And later, we'll go over to Hotties 24/7. That's for the ladies and the men. There's nude men and nude ladies at Hotties 24/7. It's not a sexist thing. I want everybody to get horny and have a good time. And the women out there, I know you like it just as much as we do. Come on now, give it up. Dennis, I took off work and came all the way down here. How many times you heard that one? I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to. LSD. You know, people ask me, Wayne, how do you choose the words for your paintings? How do you put them in there? What's the process? How do you match them up? And there's absolutely no conceptual link between the image and the word when I start one of these word paintings. In fact, my only criteria is what will fit. You know, if I have a long phrase and I have a big-ass painting, well, the two go together. In this case, I had the words LSD. It formed a nice little squarish shape, and I had this nice little squarish painting. So I put LSD into this painting. And the minute I did, that dog started sniffing that S. And that other dog stuck his head through that D. Now, if I had planned that, I would have never have gotten this results in a million years. This was one of those beautiful serendipity, happy accidents that happened in the studio, which I firmly believe in, and which I firmly stick to in my working process. I like little funny things to pop up like that, and that's absolutely true. Which reminds me of a special little piece of voodoo that I firmly believe as an artist, and I think all artists should believe this. The object you're working on is alive, and it's talking to you. It's not a one-way trip. You're not the dictator. It's a collaboration between you and the thing you're making. And as an artist, you have to believe in that special magic. You have to believe in that inner ear that can hear that thing talking to you and telling you what it wants to do. And I think that's one of the magic things about art and art-making process is that the object does live. It has a life of its own, and it communicates to you. That's one of the special privileges of the artist, is that he gets to open up this secret private world that nobody can hear and listen to his objects and have them talk to him and tell him what he wants done. Beauty is embarrassing. Now, I told you I'd come back to that, and I told you what I would mean by that. And I'm going to deliver on that promise, Bobby, Dennis. I'm going to tell the folks right now. Beauty is embarrassing. No. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that, little boy? Well, when we see something beautiful, truly awe-inspiring, we're touched. Raw emotion comes to the surface. We feel vulnerable. That raw emotional state is an embarrassing thing to be in. Most people don't want to be caught with their emotions hanging out like that. Beauty's embarrassing. Number two, beautiful people, supermodels, guys and gals, people that are just lucky enough to be born with a beautiful face. They're assholes. Let's face it, they walk around like they own the planet. They walk around with this sense of entitlement just because they were accidentally born beautiful. And you look at these people and you know what? You're embarrassed to be a human being because of them. You're embarrassed for them. You're embarrassed by their behavior. So in that sense, beauty is embarrassing. It can imbue us with this false sense of superiority when it's really just something that's passing through and we're lucky enough to be a conduit of. But the number three reason for it, and the one that hits closer home to me, artists are people who make beauty. Now that's just the bottom line. That's what we do. We make beauty. But you can't go around saying that. You know, you're at a party, you know, you're sitting around. Hi, my name's Joe. I'm a systems analyst over here for IBM. My name is Wayne, and I make beauty. And that doesn't work. You'll be laughed right out of the party. You'll be laughed right out of society, especially in this culture. That don't fly at all. So even admitting that you pursue and make beauty is an embarrassing thing. And that which brings me to this, just a picture shunned by scholars. Now it costs $20,000. In fact, I've come to the point in my life where another milestone has popped up. There's a movie currently out about me, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that one day it comes to Detroit. It will eventually get here in DVD form, but I would love to have a screening here one day. Tomorrow morning, I'm flying to Toronto, where it will premiere at the Toronto Film Festival, at the Hot Docs Festival. And that's the title. That message means a lot to me, you know? And the fact that I can stand up here and admit to you that I make beautiful things, you've given me a great gift by sitting there and letting me tell you all about my beautiful things. And you know what? I didn't get embarrassed once. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wayne White.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne White. We're talking Wayne right on White.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Palmer. Give it up for Mr. Bob Stagner. My best buddies from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thank you very much, Detroit, Michigan. Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have a quick little Q&A. If you'll cue, I'll A. Anybody want to cue? You don't have to. I know. Yes. I would love for something to come along like that again, but it'll never will. That was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But who knows? Never say never. But I always say it's the greatest job I ever had. It's totally, you can't replace it. You can't repeat it.
Yeah, I was one of your viewers for sure.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
What was your role in the rock videos that you made? Your big role in the
I was a conceptual designer, which means I came up with a lot of the imagery, especially for Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel, like I always say, the artist, one of the artist's job is to find good bosses. Unless you're already rich, which most of us aren't, you're going to work for somebody, and that should always be on your mind, to find a good boss, somebody that lets you have your freedom, because freedom is the artist's oxygen. Without it, you die. And he let me do exactly what I wanted. He goes, "Here's the song. I don't quite know what it means. Go in that room and see what you come up with." And that's, you know, he let me go in a room and just draw away. As far as the Smashing Pumpkins video went, that was a little more in place as I came along. It was pretty much tied down. It was going to be a George Millet's pastiche of A Trip to the Moon. So on that one, I just kind of was more of a visual guy. I did all the sets and puppets and props and stuff. So, both. I'm a conceptual guy and just visual guy.
Did George Jones see his giant head?
He saw pictures of it, and he called me on the phone, which was a thrill. He said, "Son, that's the greatest thing anybody's ever done for me. Next time you're in Nashville, I'm going to take you out to the biggest steak dinner you've ever had." I haven't taken him up on it yet, but I want to. I know, poor George is not feeling well, so let's all think good thoughts about him. He's the greatest. The ghost of LBJ visited me at night and said, "Stop, son, stop right now." No, I've gotten great feedback on it. In fact, there a couple of we did 4 different versions of that head, and 2 of them are wandering the streets of Toronto as we speak, promoting the movie. And I'll be flying there tomorrow morning, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great thing. Cleveland, Ohio, we had an amazing reception for the movie there, best documentary. I'm right in the middle of the big movie tour, actually. I'm right in the middle of this incredible experience of sitting in a room full of 500, 700 people and watching the story of my life on the big screen. And let me tell you, I'm still kind of figuring that one out. It's an amazing, amazing thing to have your story told that way. So, thank you for coming, everybody. The Shaking Ray Levis.
And thank you, Wayne White.
My pleasure, Mr. Dennis.